Yo, what's up? It's your boy ET. Welcome to another edition of Mass Impact, the educational podcast. Now, look, the reason why I started this, I truly believe that education is the way to close the gap, the wealth gap, the digital divide gap, the opportunity gap. Look, the American dream gap. Can I be honest? Everybody's not experiencing the American dream in the way it's supposed to be experienced. So the reason why we started the Mass Impact, the educational podcast, is to close that gap. Now look, mass is simple. It means motivate, actionable steps, which means what? We're going to give you strategies every week. So we're not just going to motivate you and inspire you, which is important, but we're going to give you actionable steps. And look, it's a support system, y'all. Thus Mass. It's your boy ET. Now you know. Let's go.
Yo, what up? What up? What up? It's your boy ET. And I got my fam, my Mass Impact fam in the building. Super excited, y'all. We're here to do a few things. Number one, motivate you, inspire you. This is a time where a lot of motivation is needed, in our country right now. And so I want you to choose to look at the possibilities and not just the problems. All right. I want you to make an intentional and deliberate choice to look at how we can solve the problem, not spread the problem. All right. And then we're also going to talk about, what we can do about it, because I think a lot of times people get discouraged when they don't think we can do anything about it. Can I tell you something? We can make a difference. Like we can solve this problem. There's no problem collectively we cannot solve. So we're going to give you some action items. And then most importantly, we need to support one another. We just recently had a young man in our church who passed, 27 years old, I think maybe about 8 years ago, almost 9 years ago, diagnosed with cancer. And I promise you, he hadn't been able to walk in years. And every birthday, we would round up and go to celebrate his birthday like it was the last one, because we never knew when the last one was. And you could just see the energy that he would get just from knowing that we showed up, and supported him. So support is a powerful tool. Support can get people from, a depressive state, a funk, support can do so many things for people just to know that you care about them, you love them, and you want to see them make it through. So that's what we're going to be focusing on every single episode we do. But to figure out what our topic is specifically for today, we throw it over to Katie. Katie, talk to us.
Yeah, you started it well, saying identify some problems and talk about solutions. So we're going to chat about the summer slide today. It's about end of July, and teachers are thinking about this topic, and families hopefully are thinking about it too. How can we make sure our students are gaining over the summer and not losing? So I'll just real quick start us out with, if people are like, what is the summer slide? If I know they're educators in the building, so they know. But real quickly, I'll give us just a definition that generally it's referred to as the tendency for students, especially from low-income families, to lose some of their achievement gains that they made during the previous school year. So how do we avoid that and help set our students up for success so that we're not seeing that loss in learning over the summer?
Well, I don't know that this solution could be global, but they need to have my mama. That's how they can, what I'm saying? That's how they can make sure they don't mess up with the summer.
I love it.
My mother, number one, my mother did not allow the school district to create her academic calendar for her children. Okay, so that was number one. My mom, my mom wasn't like, oh, so the school said y'all go from September to June and y'all finish. No, my mother was like, learning is something that happens every day. You choose if it's going to be in school, or if it's going to be at home, or if it's going to be a combination of both. But we learn all year round, and so I think that's important. I think we talked about this before, but our children and people in general rise to the level of their expectations. It is what it is. People rise to the level, it's funny. people have been saying to me individually, Eric, as your book is coming out, we believe that you will hit that New York Times bestsellers list. And so I'm like, yo, I know a couple people who, they didn't make it happen. And they were like, no. Eric Thomas, you will hit that list. And as a result of them saying that, I've been putting the press on the publishing company. The publishing company, like, we don't know. We're only going to print 25,000 copies. We're only going to print 40,000. And my team has literally every week been able to push it back more and more and more until we get to this 100,000 mark. Why? Because everybody that writes books, I was on Tom, I think it's Bell Hughes' Impact Theory, and he was like, phenomenal book. Was on one the other day. She was like, phenomenal book. And I was like, okay, y'all just saying that? They was like, no. So even though the publishing company doesn't believe, I've had so many people who believe and have raised the bar that I'm like, let's go. Like, let's put a plan together. Like, everybody that I love, let's sit down and go step. Like, I literally sat down and was like, we're going to send it out shortly, but everybody that I love, it's like, yo, it's marching orders. On September 13th, we need you to do this. We need you to do this. We need you to do that. Why? Because the expectations are, Eric, you're going to sell 1 million copies in the next, couple years, and so our babies slide because somebody told them they could slide. Somebody gave them an opportunity to slide and they took it. I'm not trying to be funny. Sometimes we take what people give us. We do. And my mom was like, oh, absolutely not. When is school over? June 14th. Okay, June 15th. Okay, you'll be at Mary Grove College. I'm like, Ma, it's the summer. She's like, nope. I'm like, I'm not even in college. She's like, I know, but Mary Grove has a phenomenal program. And as an adult, I never knew this. But now when I go back to Mary Grove College, Dave, and John Ambrose, they run a midnight golf program for the young people in the city, and they use Mary Grove College. I look now at the college like, wow, even though it was in the city, it's weird. It's like a city hid away. So my mom had me in not only a great program, but in a place where it was safe. Like you couldn't get on the campus. It was a gated community, beautiful trees and whatever. So we still had to go to bed at a certain time. We still had to wake up. We had to choose which books we were going to read. We had to get either in track, or entrepreneur program, or you had to play football or baseball. I was in the PAL League, which is the Police Athletic League, during the summer. So I only know the term because I vaguely heard it somewhere out there over the rainbow, but that wasn't a term that my mother allowed us to embrace in our home. And so I just think it starts with parents. It starts with guardians, that, the summer slide shouldn't be something that we allow our babies to do because we cannot teach them that learning happens in a certain time frame. We must teach them that learning is something that happens every day, all day.
I think that is so just so pivotal, everything that you're saying, E. And I want to ask you guys, do y'all remember like that expression, like if you don't use it, you lose it?
Yeah.
So like, right. And so like what I really wish for me going through school that I had during those summer months was just an opportunity to be able to actually apply in real time the stuff that I learned throughout the year. Like even sometimes especially a lot of times in urban cities, going to summer programs, like you might be, you may be doing something constructive, you may not, 100%, but to actually have an experience where I'm applying, the stuff that I learned, in economics or, in a history class, maybe just to actually get some hands-on experience. I would have loved to be able to have that because I think that those tangible things, those tangible experiences really allow you to connect with what you're learning in class. And so when we're talking about how to keep students on par and, and not, forgetting what they learned the year before and ready and excited about the school semester or the school year coming up. I think that that's a really important piece, being able to be in an environment where you get to recall the information that you learned throughout the year and apply it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great. Sam, that makes me think about a lot of the things that you do, where your students are like really applying all the learning that they do throughout the year.
Yeah, you guys, it's so funny because my dad is a teacher, right? And so in the summertime, he would have the summers off and he would be responsible for us kids. My mom would be working. And so I just remember he had us lined up in every camp. And I was like, is this because he doesn't want to take care of us this summer? Like, what is this? Because I'd be at math camp, Turner Dodge history camp, like kids camp, the Lansing Parks and Rec, basketball camp, all over the city. So I wasn't quite sure, like, is this dad putting his responsibilities off, or is this because, you know, he wants me to learn in the summer? Until later in life, I started to understand. But yeah, I think the key is also learning can look a variety of ways, right? Like it can look like taking your kids to the library, right? And like picking out books that they're interested in. It could be having a summer job and like learning different communication skills and soft skills. It can look like going to different camps that the kids are interested in, STEM camps, and, you know, socialize, especially after the pandemic, right? Like socializing with different kids, different students. And so it's interesting. There's actually an app like in St. Louis where it has like all of the summer opportunities like on one app. And so I would encourage you for whatever city you're in. And sometimes we look at that, like even in class for teachers, like having the students look at the app and the website, and even helping facilitate and provide that information for parents as well, of like what summer opportunities are out there, because learning can look a variety of ways in the summertime.
You know, I know Vondale, I think their program is, I think they even meet on the leap year. You know what I'm saying? Vondale, talk to us about how you keep these guys like from the summer slide.
Man, every day we got. So yesterday we took 45 of our recently to the Chicago game. Got free tickets. Today it's like life or death out here. And when I say that, I mean not engaged with something then they getting in something be getting in. So now you're dealing with summer slide from an academic standpoint, where kids are losing learning over the summer. We have to try to figure out a way to us getting ready for the fall, because we going back to school much earlier than any year that I can remember. School start back August 22nd. So looking at a situation where next month we're back, we're not even getting 2 months of summer. And for us, the engagement piece, and we try to make, if not all, you know, just rigor, but we trying to look at ways to keep age. And as Sam mentioned, we just hire a whole bunch of young people, teenagers, to work in the summer. So not only are they enjoying programming, which they start at 8 a.m, go to 4 p.m, and then after 4 p.m, we looking for them age with free activities across the city. And then we're gonna do a Wisconsin Dells trip. We're gonna take them to a water park. We're doing a camp trip. We got some young men who just got back from West Virginia. So it's a lot of things happening. And then we're wrapping up our Born to Win conference basketball tournament. So it's like many things happening, and it's good because, again, for us, that engagement has to be there, because we talking about death in the city of Chicago. But I would say look up free activities. So museums, libraries, they are always doing festivals, art, sports, whatever it takes to keep them engaged, so that way it's fun and they're celebrating getting for the school year. So just super excited about everything happening.
Yeah, I like that. I wanted to say, you know, when Sam said learning can happen in a variety of ways, for those people, you know, who are super, super close to me, know that they hate going to the movies with me because I come out with a bunch of lessons. And they're like, how in the world did you get all of that from that movie? And I think one of the things that we can do is we can have kids in the summer. We can give them a routine first. I think kids need a routine, you know, because it's tough when You've been given a routine for, 8 months. And now all of a sudden and look, I think this is not just a young person's challenge, but I've seen young adults and adults who may retire, who may leave a job and don't know what to do with themselves throughout the course of the day. And I never really knew how important structure was for people. Like, I'm at a point in my life where I'm super disciplined. I got up, like you said, we got 3 o'clock in the morning, boys. So I'm super disciplined, but there are adults who without a schedule, for whatever reason, they just can't come up with their own schedule. And they need somebody to construct that for them. So one of the things I want to say, teachers, before the students leave for summer slide, or if you have contact with kids, who are experiencing summer slide, like give them a schedule. Give them a mock schedule. Like,
love that.
This is the time I think you should get up.
Yes.
It's the summertime. You should still get up. And then also give them a mock curriculum that's more, they have more autonomy of. So it's like you just give them an outline of whatever you're studying. I personally like the, Bloom's taxonomy theory. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's easy for me. Okay, boom, here goes 7. You can evaluate, you can analyze, you know what I'm saying? It's about 5 or 7 things. And so it's like that for me now is a assess, this is a way for me, you can create, this is a way for me to go, okay, when I walk into something, here are 5 to 7 ways I can look at a particular issue. And so have your babies go in and look at a TV show, and break the TV show down. Like, what was the lesson? And it's weird because they automatically did it when I was a kid. They don't do it now. But on good times, like, there would be a message and they would break down the statistics, of how many, kids get shot and killed in the summer. You know what I'm saying? The whole show was around the workforce or women's rights, you know what I'm saying? And so different strokes, it would be, the facts of life. It'd be a whole message in that boy, Now, of course, with reality TV, I don't necessarily know that those messages are necessarily automatically there, but you can still teach them how to, when you're watching a movie or when you listen to your favorite rap song or whatever, how to just keep the brain going. And I think it's important during the summer slide to teach them to become their own teachers, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's important. Become their own teachers, right? Why? Because when you're in school and your teacher is leading, you're on autopilot. A lot of our students are on autopilot. You're just doing what you're told to do. When you become your own teacher, then that's when you start taking learning to a whole nother level. So I would just say, we've got to come up with another word for summer slide, which is like summer success or summer acceleration. You know what I'm saying? So we can get
reframe.
We want to reframe it because everybody's like, oh, summer slide. And so it's become a thing now, and everybody's embracing it and it's a reality. Oh, I'm not waking up early. It's the summer slide. You know what I'm saying? Or I forgot everything I was supposed to learn. It's the summer slide. It's like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. Like, we're going to say summer acceleration, which means in the summer, you take your academic journey in your own hands. Like, this is the part where you do it alone or you do it differently or you don't do it with so many people. But this is where you go, okay, from June to August, I'm taking complete ownership of my academic success. And this is what it's going to look like. Again, have your fun. This is a time to spend more quality time doing other things, because you will be getting out of school soon and you will be doing other things outside of just going to school. And so you're starting to prepare for that, right? But I think it's a time for you to start exploring and discovering your learning style, not just your learning style, your learning environment. This is a time for you to get to know you and your brain a little bit better. And so, we're going to rebuke summer slide and we're going to replace it with summer acceleration.
Love it.
You know what? I love that that you mentioned, establishing routines. And it's interesting because I actually hate routine. I hate structure and systems and protocol. And I've been that way since I was a kid. However, I've been listening, and I know, like, even in your sermons, like, you've been talking a lot about predictability and and routines. And I read, actually, I think it was yesterday, like an article, and it was talking about how routines are essential to productivity because it helps to minimize the number of decisions that you have to make throughout the day. And so, like, when I think about students and, throughout the summer and just all the different things that can happen when you're not, because, like, when during the school year, you're in a routine. So, when you got to get up and all that. In the summer, it's kind of, whatever. So, like, if we help students to have those routines in place, it minimizes the decisions that they have to make, which minimizes stress, which minimizes, opportunities for them to go awry, like that kind of thing. And I can see now, and I appreciate how pivotal it actually can be to your success as students, but even, for us as adults.
Yeah.
Ooh, LaShanna, and it just makes me think about, like, anybody who has moved before, right? Like, when you first move, you're like, where's all my stuff? Like, I'm going crazy. So I love that you brought that up about the, impacts of having a routine. And I think just quickly, like what E and Vondale shared, I think just in general, and I think a lot about what Katie says about choice often, right? So these, like, new experiences that you all just spoke about can often spark curiosity, right? And then you never know, like, so if they go to the Wisconsin Dells, right, and they're on this trip going to Wisconsin Dells, there might be several interactions or things that they see on the way that spark a curiosity that then make you want to go to the library or YouTube or whatever it is, to be able to, like, extend learning. So I really love how you all described, like, just engaging in new experiences, like having choice and knowing that learning can look in different forms, but it can also spark curiosity with new experiences.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And there's research to support that too. So I know I talk about that a lot. Like, we got to get kids choosing books that they want to read. But I was pulling some research this morning about that summer slide term and what does that mean? And one of the highest things that can impact that the most is access to books and access to choice when they're reading. So I pulled a little piece of data this morning that said access to books is one of the highest, I'm looking for my quotes here, highest ways to increase student achievement over the summer. But specifically, it says when children select reading materials themselves and read for enjoyment, they receive the most gains in reading achievement. So it increases vocabulary and it provides gains in comprehension, reading, writing, spelling, grammar, etc. So there's research to support that. We've got to get kids access to books and then provide them opportunities for choice reading. And when our teachers often are struggling to find the time for that during the school year, we can help put things in place to make that happen during the summertime for sure.
Yeah. And listen, teachers, you have the greatest opportunity to affect your child's or your students' learning in the summer now because of COVID. Like before, when we left school in the summer, like, I didn't know where my teacher was. I didn't know what she was doing. It's like she fell off the earth. He fell off the earth. We were separated, throughout the summer. Like, I don't see you again until September. We used to go back to school after Labor Day. So I don't see you till after Labor Day, right? Now, teachers, you can prepare a lesson and you can go online and let every student know that you've prepared this lesson for them. Like, you still have access to them in a way that's super unique, in 2022. You just go on TikTok. You go on TikTok and leave a message. You can go on TikTok, like, you can DM all of them and tell them all, like, here go the lesson right here. When you get an opportunity, make sure right? So I was listening to Steve Jobs, a clip that they did with Steve Jobs, and I forgot what the lady, the question she posed, but it has something to do with, like, what have you learned?
Yeah, what was his greatest lesson when we're
in that? And so, I love it. He said that he had to learn not to try to fix problems, but to focus on the people. Because if you could develop the people, then the people could solve the problems. And I think sometimes as teachers, when we think summer slide, first we get nervous, right? We think, how are we going to fix this? And you fix it through the student. So we can legitimately fix summer slide by developing students. So first of all, one of the things that I'm learning is how important, timelines are, because they create this sense of urgency. So one of the things I do when I get on stage is I literally talk about the death of my grandmother. I literally talk about, now, of course, this 27-year-old dying. I talk about, death. Why? Not because I'm trying to be morbid, but I'm trying to increase the level of urgency. I'm trying to get people to understand you don't have forever, but yet it feels like you do. You know what I'm saying? It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
It feels like you're going to live forever. Like there in your brain, there's no end.
Yeah.
Right. And so I create this sense of urgency. As the book is coming out, I told my team, like, yo, at like 30 days in, let's go 30, 29, 28. Like this spirit of anticipation, like it's coming, get ready. Why? Because you don't want people to have to think, oh, when is the book coming out? This is off topic, but when I got to Michigan State University, one of the reasons our program, the Advantage program, was so successful is because of timing. Right. So when I got there, I thought it was the weirdest thing. I don't know if the supervisors, if they were lazy, but they would do programs and they would do it every other week. And I was like, yo, bro, that don't even make sense. He was like, why doesn't it make sense? Because I was like, I don't know when every other week is. Like, I don't know. So if you're doing a program and you're telling me it's every other week, is it the first week of the month? Is it the second? Like, I had a slightest idea. I don't know when it is. So he was like, Eric, what do you suggest? Every week. Because you can't get it confused if you do it every week. It's an issue of timing. It's like, anticipate, we're going to be meeting Tuesdays at 8:00. Your favorite show don't come on every other week. Your favorite show come on every week, right? And if it's a phenomenal show, it come on every day. So it come on every day at 11. Your soap opera come on every day. Your favorite morning show come on every morning at 8:00, right? And so one of the things that we have to do for our students is we have to do a summer acceleration, right? Because we've changed the name. We got to start counting that down. And so we've got to show this comparison of, okay, teacher helping student, but then we've got 100 days left. And it's you start. So I don't know if you're when I was younger, there used to be The Price is Right. And it was this, you make good decisions, a man to go up the it'll go up, right? And so what happens is you got this picture of a teacher all the way up here and a student all the way down here. And as the days go, we're showing that when the summer comes, education still happens, but now the student is here and the teacher is starting to go down here. And really letting the students know, like, yo, learning doesn't stop. It's just the teacher is going to be pulling back a little bit. And the student is going to be taking over a little bit more. And so when the summer comes, the learning still needs to happen, but the responsibility now is going to shift to you. It's not going to necessarily, and I think if we show them that timeline and they're getting that, they're anticipating, they getting pumped up, they getting ready, right? We're helping them to say, hey, where's your lesson plan for yourself? Where's your curriculum for yourself? Where's your box of books? And so now they know, all right, the traditional learning is over. Now I get to take over. You feel me? I'm in Vegas right now, and this is they call it Summer League. So the NBA is not having they still have some of their players that they feel like could stand to be more developed. They actually have a league for these guys. Mm-hmm. Right? So that they literally have a summer league. So if the NBA has a summer league, then we kids, you need to have a summer league where you decide, I'm about to take this thing and I'm about to knock it out the park. Yeah, that's good.
Oh, and the community can put that together too. Like Absolutely. You can put things in place to support that.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Sam.
Yes.
No, that's exactly what I was going to say is and to switch the gear to teachers, right? Also, how are you developing in the summer, right? Because that's a way that you can, like you just said, Katie, on the community, you can be engaged in, even engage your students in a totally different way, outside of the classroom, right? So like there was a program every year in St. Louis called Cultural Leadership, and it was for Black and Jewish high school students to like learn about each other's culture, religion, history, like in a whole year-long program. And in the summertime, they got to travel on a 3-week journey. And like I served as a trip leader for like 4 years. I was like, sign me up, sign me up, sign me up. And we'd get our students engaged. I got to meet we got to meet Sam, like me, but as a teacher, I got to meet John Lewis, Al Sharpton. Wow. I mean, just phenomenal experiences across the nation. And that, like, I was very lucky to be able to do that. But there are lots of programs, you know, in your city that you could even provide the access to for your students. Yeah. So like, even in that situation, there weren't any students from my high school involved in that program. But once I got involved, I was like, oh, we need students from our high school involved in this program. So I would also say, like, teachers, look for that opportunity also that will like bring you joy in the summer and that you can learn skills from, and that you can also, you know, open doors of access for your students as well.
No problem.
I love that. I love that.
All right. So
I just want to say real quick, you and the School Days Foundation are doing like some really good summer work too, that we should shout out, that you're making sure kids have access to books and good programming. I don't know if you want to talk about any of those things, but
yes,
coming up, right, with Detroit public school students, they're getting access to.
Hey, we don't believe in summer slide. Let me just tell y'all that. We don't believe in summer slide. And what we've decided to do this year is really support existing programs. I think one of the things that some of us could do better, because we could play both ways, is we need to support the programs that already exist. A lot of us all want to start our own program, right? But there's power in collaboration. And so what we've decided to do is say, hey, there are programs that already exist. You know, we go into Chicago with Champs. Champ already exists. It's something that they do year round. In Detroit, Sound Mind, Sound Body, that's a year-long program. So a lot of these kids may get, they may get familiarity breeds content. You know, they may get a little familiar with the people that they see every day. And so we're going to come in from the outside and provide that spark so they can, one, value the people that are with them every day, and then value the program. And so, yeah, we're going to be all over the world. But, of course, Chicago coming up here real soon. Detroit, I will literally be, in the building with them, at least 2 days for the few weeks that the program is open. And, of course, one of the books that we're going to give them is definitely, my book. And the reason why, and this is probably like the secrets to success, and the reason why is when you talk about reading books that you like, that's good. But also reading books from people you like, that's another level.
Yeah.
And so when people read books like, yo, I know my man, like he comes from where I come from. And so real quick, one of the first books I ever read in my life that I read for myself, I was about 21 years old in college. I might have been 21 in college. And I read the book Gifted Hands. And I didn't know who Dr. Ben Carson was at the time. I wasn't into, being a neurosurgeon and nothing like that. Right. But when I opened up the book, two things struck me. One, he was from Detroit. So he was calling streets out from Detroit that I was very familiar with. I was like, oh, I know where that's at, Finkel. Oh, I know where Finkel is, And then he talked about his father, abandoning his family. And I was like, oh, snap. My man, a neurosurgeon, his dad wasn't in his life. Then he talked about anger. And I was like, yo, I had that same challenge. I never stabbed nobody, but I did do some dumb stuff in my time because of my anger. And I just was like, yo, I'm intrigued. And then he loved his mom. I was like, oh, I'm intrigued. Dude, like, he didn't hit the faux top. It was funny. I was walking yesterday and the kid recognized me here in Vegas, and he kept saying, oh, my mama, oh, my mama, oh, my mama. And I was dying laughing because I was like, yo, I feel you. I think he was a little intoxicated, but he kept saying like, yo, E, I follow your stuff on my mama. And I just was tripping on language like, yo, you just got my heart, bro. You just said on my mama. Like, I feel you. Like, I know where you at. Like, you trying to explain to me, like, you ain't playing. Like, this is serious, like on my mama. And I'm like, oh, no question. And so when kids read not only books they like from people that they like, but from a language they understand. And I don't just mean, vocabulary. I mean, culture and subcultures. right? And so when I read Dr. Ben Carson's book, I was just like, yo, I can relate. Struggled in school. I was like, oh no, this is phenomenal. And so I actually finished reading his book. And from that point forth, I became a reader. From that day forward, I became my own reader, not my mom trying to force me to read, because my mom is a show enough reader. Like, she could read a 400-page book like in a day and a half. Like, I don't know how she used to do that. She used to go in. I never cared for that, to be honest with you. She's trying to put that on me. I'm like, I'm good on that. But I became a reader. And you know what's funny? I probably only listened to one audiobook in my entire life. And I don't even know if I listened to an entire audiobook. I just love to have the physical book in my hand. I just love pages, taking notes, So I would just say, also that we need to make sure that we support other programs. So that's what I'm going to do this summer. I'm going to be spending a lot of time going to different places online, using Zoom, using, Yardstream, using all the platforms. I will be using those platforms, to help people, who are already doing it. So, all right, as is our custom, before we go to Coach B, we have some brilliant minds, on this platform. So if you guys can just give us one, final thought on Summer Slide, something that you feel could either help the teacher or you feel could help help the student. And we'll start with you, Sam.
I just really love how you changed it to like Summer Success or Summer Accelerate. And so my tip would really be, when you're thinking about what would a successful summer look like for a child, whether that's your student, whether that's your own child, what is at least one experience that would set them up for success by the end of the summer? And I would just recommend to like do your research and find at least like one key experience and set some goals so that, so that they can have choice and figure out what's best for them.
I love it. LaShanna, talk to us.
I think my advice maybe would be for the parents approaching summer, maybe more so for next year, to get with the teachers and just find out, like, what routine would you suggest would be good for me to implement with my, my child or my children throughout the summer until they go back to school.
I love it. Vondale, talk to your boy.
Control the narrative. Like, he just came fire. I don't know if that went over some heads, but the summer rate for success, we control the narrative. In other words, we create the that changed the needle and pushed our kids forward. And then the thing that Eve mentioned that was really good: timelines. The sense of urgency. We don't have a whole lot of time. As a matter of fact, so we have to accelerate, double and triple down. And I'm just loving these that we're creating by helping organizations push forward. So our conference, and I'm gonna just be really short, around authors. Our both keynote speakers are authors. Larry Miller. We have 400 free books that we away, and Dr. Thomas, you coming out, and so we're gonna have to bring him back and put all of those books to Chicago, Mississippi, the Northwest and West End. So again, like, let's create and control the narrative, and let's change our language around what we're saying. Summer. It's a summer acceleration. I like that. I love it.
I would just say access to books, and let's all play a part in the access to books. So when you go to Detroit with those kids, there's about 400 kids. We're taking about 800 books to share with them, for them to choose from. And then, of course, yes, we're going to get this book in the hands of as many kids as possible. So we're going to give them books to choose from, books like this that we know they would like to read, that they have an author that they relate to. And then teachers, think about access, how you're going to increase the access to books for your students when you get back in the classroom too. So hold that book up one more time, because teachers, I'm telling you, I have done this with my students where I put E's books in my classroom with kids that say they didn't like to read, and suddenly they're reading. So you're also going to be thinking about, how are you increasing the access to good books for your classroom for the fall? And that's a book they're going to want in their classroom in the fall. So go grab it yourself, or talk to your administrators about how can you maybe grab a whole bunch of those copies to get them into your classrooms.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, you, young people, you owe it to yourself to activate this thing. It'll, boom, change your whole world. All you have to do is activate this and everything else. This either holds you back or holds you where you are, or it puts you in a point where I was in a plane yesterday, y'all, flying from LA to Vegas, and I was like, yo, somebody thought of this. Like, somebody thought of this. Somebody sat there and was like, why are we doing a horse and carriage? And somebody thought about, like, why do we have a T4? You know what I'm saying? Like, model, why is it taking us, like, forever to get to the West Coast? Like, we should be able to get to the West Coast a lot easier. And now we can get to the West Coast in like 4 hours, all the way from Detroit to some parts of California in 4 hours. Imagine how many days it takes to do the train, you know? And the train was a good way to travel. I know it's a great experience, but somebody brain said, let's fly like birds. And today we're flying like birds. And I might add, drinking water on the planes. They serving food on the plane. We're watching TV on the plane. We're texting people, staying in touch with people on the ground, on the plane. So somebody took the plane idea and was like, why don't we put TVs in it? Or why don't we put an oven in it? You know what I'm saying? Or why don't we lay down in it? You know what I'm saying? Like, unbelievable. Use this summer. I challenge you to use this, right? To not only change your world, but to change the world.
Yeah.
Forever. This is Mass Impact. It's your boy ET. You got Vondale. I'd like to say he's on the left of me. I'm not 100% sure how this thing is going. It looks like LaShanna at the top. On the right of me. Sam is like the Brady Bunch right ahead of me, right on top. And then, of course, you know, you got Katie. So, man, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Stay in touch. Support us, please. Get this message out that we're here, that we're making waves, and we're here to stay, man. We love you as teachers because we ourselves are educators. We've all been in the classroom. We've all had to do some administrative stuff, if you will, and we're here to support you and help you to make the rest of your career the best of your career. All right, it's the summer. Enjoy yourself. Hey, but don't remember, it's the summer success, not the summer slide. All right, we out.
Hey everybody, come on in. Welcome to the office hours. You're watching another episode of Mass Impact, the education podcast. We're so excited to have you here with us for the office hours, where we review and recap some of the most impactful points of today's broadcast. Now, today's episode was all about ending the summer slide. And right off the bat, ET started us off by saying we need to reframe our mindset. We need to shift our thinking and take on a different mentality when it comes to the summer slide. He said, why don't we call it the summer success? Here's the thing. If we go throughout the entire school year anticipating and expecting a summer slide, what do you think we're gonna get? A summer slide. But if we start to reframe that and say, here's what we're gonna do, here's how I'm gonna think about it leading up to that point in the summer to create a summer success. Not wait, create a summer success. We at the very least increase our likelihood of not having a summer slide. We at the very least give ourselves a better chance to create a summer success. So ET challenged us all. He said, look, there is hope, and this is not a passive process. We can create change. We don't get to sit around and say, well, it's summertime. This is where every kid forgets everything, right? This is the time for us to say, how can we be creative? How can we be innovative? What can we do to really create change here and create a summer success? Now, we have to keep kids engaged. We know that. We have to keep kids learning. We know that. How do we do it? Well, ET offered up a couple of suggestions. He said that yes, we have to have academic rigor in the summer, but we also have to have some real life experiences. How can we integrate some fun into our summer where it's still learning, but maybe it feels more like fun. Maybe it feels more like a game. Maybe it feels more like just real life activity, fun, exposure, experience. How can we make it feel like something other than school? That's going to be the secret to keeping kids away from the summer slide and shifting them towards the summer success. Katie gave us a great reminder. She said that we can all make a difference by providing more kids greater access to books. Why books? Because it allows kids to branch out and really explore their own interests. With books, they can read about a subject that maybe they haven't been able to dive too deeply into in traditional school. Maybe they can dive deeper into a subject that they have been exposed to at school, but they want to learn more about it. They can read beyond grade level. They can do anything that they want. They can explore any topic, any passion, any interest. They can do it through books. Now, of course, I would be remiss if I did not at least mention probably one of the greatest books that will ever come out in the history of mankind. You know what I'm talking about. It's UOU, coming September 13th, 2022 by none other than Dr. Eric Thomas. It's going to be a phenomenal book, and you can pre-order it. Of course, teachers can pre-order it. Organizations can pre-order it. That's going to be at uoubook.com. I'm super excited for this release. It's ET's first major book release in 10 years. I can't wait to read it, and I'm sure you feel the same way. So grab a pre-order copy now at uoubook.com. Now, I'm not going to bore you with a long closing story today, but I do want to ask you a quick question. What systems do you have in place in your life and in your classroom to ensure success? Now, notice I did not say to move you closer towards success. I said to ensure success. I was having a chat with a buddy of mine not too long ago. He was a collegiate gymnast, much like myself. And he said, you know why college athletics is so successful? It's because they don't give you a choice but to be successful. They set up everything for you to the point where all you have to do is show up and do what they tell you to do. And the system is so strong that you have to grow, you have to develop, you have to get better. And you will, at the very least, reach a certain level of success just because they placed you in a system that was designed to produce that success. What do I mean by that? When I was a college athlete, I was told when to go to bed, when to wake up, when to lift, how much to lift, what exercises to do, when to eat, what to eat, how to study, when to study. I was told exactly how and when to do everything, and it was so systematic that they gave me everything I needed on a silver platter, and the only thing that I had to do was execute on what they told me to do. So, what systems do you have in place for your life, and what systems do you have in place for your classroom? Take some of the load off of yourself and put it onto a system that can reproduce those results over and over and over again. That is the goal. As always, I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Mass Impact, the Education Podcast, and we'll see you next week.